Yep, it's true. It's another video about how much I love my Pocket 3 camera from DJI. So get ready. Now, let me start with, which has been said a million times on the YouTube. The Pocket 3 camera is a game-changing camera. The quality of the video that comes out of this camera, particularly under ideal situations like a lighting setup like this, it's phenomenal. It does everything you would want even from a DSLR, SLR camera. A little bit of out of focus in the background, and this isn't even that big of a room. When you get close focus, you know, everything else, I don't know if it's working, we get a little bit of blur. It does a wonderful job of mimicking a much larger, more expensive camera. So let's just get that out of the way. I'm trying to learn how to optimize this camera and get the absolute best out of it, and to find where the weaknesses are, where it's going to fall apart a little bit. Today's test, it happens a little bit, and I think you'll see why. The biggest problem will be, of course, the sensor size. Even though this is, you know, the 1-inch sensor, and I'm going to put a caveat on it. I didn't test it with the low light settings, and we'll get into that. But this tested it, and kind of it broke up a little bit, and let's talk about it. So to set it up, first of all, in some areas, in some parts of this, it worked really exceptionally well. In other areas, it did fall apart. So it's a mix. It's really about how much light is coming into that sensor. So in this situation, it was a real world use case where I was filming some stuff for the Ballet. And what I do for them sometimes is they want just demo or highlight reel pieces. They're not really worried about capturing the whole ballet, but really just so they can use it in advertising to tell other people, hey, come see the ballet. So I have the close-up, and I'm doing all sorts of stuff, and there's a lot of camera movement. And I thought, well, it's kind of cool to have the Pocket 3 mounted on top of my camera and kind of capturing everything, and I've always got a fallback, and maybe there's something cool that comes out of it. And something cool did come out of it. Now, a couple things. In this environment, I wanted to, I'm way back, I'm probably 60 feet from the stage. And I wanted to be able to use the 2x lossless zoom on here. That limits a lot of stuff. And that's where it becomes frustrating. I wish that this wasn't the case. I wish that when you use the 2x lossless, you could use at least the low light functionality or the D-Log. It goes to the normal 10-bit color profile, which is fine, but the camera tries to do too much and things start to break up. So what happened? Well, in the first piece, I was wrestling with it, and I was trying to use the 2x, and this is when I discovered 2x isn't going to work in log. So it's too far back, and the problem that happens at that point, in my opinion, is now it's so far back that the camera is trying to now find that 13 stops of dynamic range, and it's very, very dark outside of the stage, and there are very bright hot spots on the stage, and so it starts to squash together some of those parts in the range. And where it really happened the most was on the people's faces. The skin starts to look plasticky. It's too smooth because it's just too far away. There's too much range of light. And the camera doesn't know what to do with that information. So it's sitting there like, I don't know how to interpolate that. And so it just kind of mushes everything up. And if you look at some of this footage, it's pretty mushy. And that's because too far back, and I'm introducing way too much dynamic range into the sensor, in my opinion. Now, in the second piece here, it's a much better image, in my opinion, because I was able to use the 2x, and now I'm cropped into the stage. I'm not getting the dark, dark theater surrounding it, so it's not going like trying to balance out what's happening there. It's just balancing out what's happening on the stage. And so from there, it starts to get good. Now, the problem is with this one, the way the lighting is, again, this is going to be dependent on the theater lighting. The way the lighting is, the theater, no, the sensor still has to deal with that range of light, and it gets a little plasticky in some parts. It struggles at some points in this video, and it's like, oh, well, what are you gonna do? It's usable for web, in my opinion, in some of the shots from a highlight reel. Would I put the whole thing out? No, it's not something that it's going to work yet. Now, when we get to the third piece, things surprisingly get much better, even though it's an extremely dark piece. And that's, again, I think attributable to the computational work that's happening inside the Pocket 3 and the lower range of light. So now this piece, very dark, but it worked really well. And if you see in this shot right here, I think it very usable footage. It's a nice wide shot. A lot of detail on the dancer from that distance. I'm very impressed with how dark it is that it worked this well, and it cemented, in my opinion, how the dynamic range works. It's always going to try to find an average depending on the range that you present it. So if it's presented with a wide range, it's going to make some jumps in the middles. In the middles? We'll go with that. You know what I mean. But if you limit the range coming into the sensor, it goes, okay, I know what to do with this. I can figure it out. And I think these images look great. Very usable for web, for social. TV, probably not. But most of my work, as I've said in other videos, is all web-based at this point. People are social media, their website, and everything's on phones. So in that case, this is a pretty workable image at 4K. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. There might be more tweaking that I could do in the settings, and maybe you can let me know. Like, have you tried it like this? Have you pushed its limits, and have you found a way around this? I want to be able to use the 2x lossless for this application. For other applications, I'm going to be using the low light feature, or I'm going to be using D-Log, so I'm not as concerned. But for this particular application where I have to use 2x to get to the action, this seems to be the biggest problem. So let me know what you've run into and maybe what you've done to fix it, or have you just said, yeah, it's just not going to work for that. I'd love to know. Well, if you enjoyed this, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And, you know, do you see the video that just popped up? Maybe it's been popped up for a minute. I can't remember. But, you know, check it out. You might enjoy it. I mean, if you're here this long, that one's probably good too. I would give it a whirl at least. You know, nothing to lose. It's free. Check it out. Thanks for watching.